everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome to a Books Beside My Bed video. If you're new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading, and if you're very familiar with the series, welcome back. This is going to be a super short wrap up because it is a week bookended by 2 reading vlogs, so I'm only counting the books that I haven't talked about in either of those vlogs. So it is my wrap up for the week of the 15th to the 21st of August. I read 2 things that were not included in reading vlogs this week, a total of 781 pages, and my yearly reading total is 318 books. The reading vlog that took place at the start of this week was the Dark Romance Weekend Readathon, which I will have linked on the screen because I've already released that video. The second reading vlog will be coming out after this Books Beside My Bed video, and it is a Kindle Unlimited reading vlog, assuming I ever get to the books because I've been very sidetracked this weekend. Into the books that I read this week, the first book was a reread, and that was Hotter Than Ever by Elle Kennedy, which I think is book 5 maybe in the Out of Uniform series. I read this way back when. I can't even remember what year it was. It's been at least 2 years since I read it. This was one of the books that I picked up as part of the books that I bought for my 5th booktube birthday, and I bought it because it was one of those books that stood out to me. It was one of the very first MMF romance menage / polyamorous relationships that I'd read. Is it the most perfect book out there? Probably not, but it was very nostalgic for me to read it because even though I don't read Elle Kennedy pretty much at all now, this one I still really enjoyed. It is the story of Claire McKinley, who is about to get married until her fiance asks his brother to break up with her right as they're about to walk down the aisle. And Dylan, the brother, is very unimpressed with this, especially when his brother runs off and leaves the venue without telling anyone what's going on and leaves it all up to his family and to Claire to sort the situation out. In order to spare Claire from having to address all of the guests, he takes her back to his place in San Diego where he lives with his roommate / lover. And the main point of this story is that Claire and Dylan have a hate to love relationship. They really don't get along, mostly because Claire's fiance had been playing them off one another by purposely not revealing information to the other person. So they have these really strong misconceptions about the other person. Enter Aidan Rhodes, who is Dylan's roommate. Both Dylan and Aidan are in the Navy. Dylan is a SEAL and Aidan works in naval intelligence, and they've decided to share this apartment together. And while they enjoy sleeping with one another, they also enjoy adding a third person to their relationship. And Aidan is very attracted to Claire, and even Dylan has to admit his attraction despite the fact that he doesn't particularly like the girl. As they're giving Claire time to recover from being left at the altar, it does give Claire and Dylan time to sort out what it is that they thought they knew about the other person. And then there's a relationship. This book does have MM scenes, MF scenes, and MMF scenes in it. And I suppose the content warnings for this book would be one being left at the altar. There is also something that happens to Claire where she loses her job because of a morality clause. There is homophobia in here, and there is also another person using the relationship that Claire, Aidan, and Dylan have against them. So be aware of that going into it. As I said, not the best thing ever written, and certainly not the best MMF romance I've ever read, but definitely one that's enjoyable and very easy and quick to read. The other book that I read this week was The Casanova by T.L. Swan. This is the 3rd book in the Miles High Club, and T.L. Swan is an Australian author, so I do really like supporting her books. These are basically billionaire office romance stories. In this one, we follow Elliot Miles, who is the Miles brother who heads up the London branch of their media company, and he has this very acrimonious relationship with his head of IT, Catherine. The two do not get along at all, and then totally by chance they begin to text one another under ridiculous pseudonyms on an online dating site where basically they've both created bogus profiles as a joke, and they end up talking to one another and they get along really well. And we find out very early on that Catherine has worked out that Elliot is the other person that she's talking to, and she doesn't reveal that to him. A whole range of circumstances come about where they begin to realize their attraction to one another and they begin to pursue a relationship, but Elliot wants to keep everything very quiet because his relationships are constantly hounded by the paparazzi in London, and so this eventually becomes a huge strain on their relationship, coupled with the fact that Elliot has been obsessed with this mysterious painter for many years and he keeps buying her artwork, but no one has ever seen her, and the opportunity to meet her comes up in this book, which causes a huge third act conflict. It was really interesting in this book because Catherine has endometriosis, and that is mentioned on page, as well as her reacting badly to medication that she takes to manage the pain that she's in when she's having her period, which I thought was a really good inclusion. I would have liked to have seen something more done with it, but there are some really great scenes where Elliot has to take care of her and to realize that this is something that she has to live with and deal with, and she knows her body and how to cope with that. Otherwise, if you like an office romance, if you like hate to love, or you enjoy a really dominant male character, then you'll probably enjoy this book. So I had this from Netgalley and I will have a review on my blog hopefully this week. So those are the two books that I read that were not part of reading vlogs. I really enjoyed them. It was just a very slow week this week. In the comments, let me know if you have read these books or if you're planning on picking them up. Otherwise, feel free to share something that you have really been enjoying reading in the last 7 days. Or if you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave any kind of emoji that describes how you're feeling at this present moment. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.